J.Cole's one-sided rivalry with Kendrick Lamar. Let's see what it's talking about, really. Let's see what it is about, and let's just watch and react to this. Let's go.
Cole came into the rap game with big dreams. He wanted to make a classic debut album and envisioned winning Best New Artist at the Grammys, but things didn't go the way he had hoped. His start in the mainstream was rough. Despite being signed to Jay-Z's Roc Nation, Cole couldn't get a release date for his album without delivering a radio single.
We were just in the studio trying to make hits. No lie, I was probably the most depressed he's ever been, like...
Yo, J.Cole, where's the single? That's what the label's saying to me.
For 2 years, he struggled to make that one hit. During this time, Jay-Z would ask Drake to give him a hit, an embarrassing moment that showed how much Cole was struggling.
I don't have a single, and the next 6 months of my life was like literally hell. And I had been praying for this record, I promise you.
Eventually, he released Workout, a track that did gain attention, but disappointed many of his core fans and people who believed in him.
So I get a release date and we dropped the single. It was the worst response on any song I've ever. You gotta understand that, like, to my fan base, it's like, yo, that's the chosen one.
The backlash made him doubt himself deeply. He never wanted to chase numbers, but instead he found himself compromising, something he'd always sworn against. Then almost out of nowhere, Kendrick Lamar arrived with his debut. He delivered exactly what Cole was trying to achieve, a debut album that balanced artistry and mainstream success.
I think this is the element that Kendrick has that a lot of artists lack, the ability to balance the artistry, the core hip-hop rawness with that mainstream commercial viable presence. It's very difficult for a lot of artists, and that's why Kendrick is very exceptional. And someone like Andre 3000 too is regarded as one of the best. Jay-Z too is in that category, and even Eminem. These are guys that have been able to balance the mainstream commercial viability with the rawness of hip hop. Like, they didn't lose that core hip hop relevance and that core hip hop element that people are looking for. So Kendrick had that already from his first album, from when he got into the game. And Cole, too, right now, I still feel like Cole has that, but not to the level to which all these other rappers that I mentioned have it. So, let's continue.
Good Kid, Mad City wasn't just a success, it was immediately hailed as a classic.
A lot of people say it's an instant classic. That's great. I love that. But I want that longevity. I don't want you to be saying it because it's, I'm hot right now. I definitely feel like it's definitely classic worthy. I always said that it just gotta have them years behind it.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, it seemed like Kendrick did it effortlessly. But that wasn't true. Behind the scenes, Kendrick was facing similar struggles. Top Dawg wouldn't let him drop the album without hits either. Instead of compromising, he worked even harder until he found a way to hit both targets. But before he figured it out, he too had multiple failed attempts at making the club record.
What's your wackest song?
It's called Bitch, I'm in the Club.
Just like Cole spending 2 years crafting his debut, Kendrick made multiple versions of Good Kid, Mad City before it clicked. It wasn't easy, but he figured it out. He found the balance and he nailed it to the point it seemed effortless. For J. Cole, watching Kendrick succeed where he had stumbled had to be painful. He wanted to be seen as one of the new greats, but when his debut dropped, it was met with mixed reviews. His first album wasn't the album he wanted to make.
The first album comes out and it does tremendously well commercially. But the reception critically and on the internet is still sort of mixed.
Part of it was the fact that we knew that album wasn't exactly what we wanted. Born Sinner was dark because of that. You know what I mean? Like, he was going through a dark time where he was feeling like he still had to prove himself.
A mind state that I never had to deal with before, which is like fighting all these negative thoughts. That's the dark place I'm talking about. Like, self-confidence kind of shattered, you know what I mean? And like trying to fight against that.
And then comes Kendrick, seemingly unbothered by the system, thriving without compromise. In multiple interviews, Cole said he felt like he was the artist who took the hits so that others could avoid compromise. He believed he paved the way for people like Kendrick.
Now it's easy for niggas. As long as you come with good music, you can beat Kendrick Lamar. You don't gotta put out
your song with Lady Gaga or whatever it is, a label not gonna tell you, hey, but you need a single. No, man. Just develop your fan base and put out a great album. I ain't had a luxury, so I could have been crushed.
The truth is, everyone faced the same obstacles.
So I get what J. Cole is saying here. You know, someone like Kendrick, Kendrick was able to do that, and it's not only Kendrick that did it. It's, I think, Eminem. Even though Eminem kind of like had his own time of commercial, you know, the whole Slim Shady character. Eminem had the whole commercial identity, and he was able to ride on with that for a while. For someone like Kendrick didn't have to sound corny. He didn't have to come up with any kind of character. He just had the way of you still feeling the authenticity of his voice and the rap listening, the commercial viability of it. You still feel the authenticity of Kendrick's voice, and also feel the rawness of the rap. Like there's no part of the hip hop that is being betrayed in Kendrick's music. And because of that, Kendrick was able to form a fan base that were actual lovers of rap and also enjoy the mainstream commercial success. And J. Cole was like, he didn't have that luxury. You know, now anybody after Kendrick can do that, because Kendrick has kind of like shown people that it's possible for you to not betray your hip hop roots and not betray the authenticity of your voice, and still maintain and still get that commercial acceptance, that commercial success. So that's what J. Cole is saying here, that guy, it's easier for people now after me and Kendrick, but I had to struggle that struggle. Kendrick had to show that example before you guys can come in the picture. And right now, you guys will not have that label battle that we had, where they are asking for commercial music, and we feel like we have to betray our sound, betray our voice, betray our hip-hop authenticity before we can do that. So let's continue though.
The difference was execution. It wasn't that Cole opened the door and showed Kendrick how to do it. They were in the same predicament, and Kendrick just happened to execute at a much higher level. In a 2013 interview, he admitted that his team was trying to get him to wear clothes that he hated, and he was trying to adjust to looking like a star. Then there was that funny story about his stylist putting him in a Versace jersey for a red carpet, only to find other people wearing the exact same outfit, all the way down to the shoes. Kendrick...
Oh man, that's kind of embarrassing, man. Coming, having, you know, still getting that recognition, still being that artist that is now in people's eyes, then coming to a red carpet in that kind of event and seeing other people replicating your outfits. Like, you're not unique. You're wearing a uniform jersey. That's sad, man. Let's go.
On the other hand, never bent. He was focused only on the music, and that authenticity paid off. Both of them were equally criticized for not looking like stars and were incentivized to play the game. One chose to try to play the game and the other didn't.
Yeah, he said I look like a star.
I said he don't look like a star.
You had a problem because you had on corduroys.
He just didn't look like a star, but I never said he was whack. He's dumb nice.
You know, everybody got to be their own.
You know, Charlamagne is this kind of guy that is annoying. Yeah, he says this, what he wants to say. He gets it off his chest, but he can be that guy. Right now, Kendrick has shut him up. He doesn't look like a star, but he's a star. You know, I think this was when Kendrick was on the come up. So, let's go.
Individual.
By 2013, Kendrick was crowned MTV's hottest MC in the game, and while he was honored, others weren't as thrilled.
And you, Kendrick Lamar, are the hottest MC in the game. Man, how you feel, man?
Feel good.
You feel good right now?
Salute.
What young cat is influencing just hip-hop culture and fashion culture at the same time? Look how young I am.
They left you off the list.
This is some bullshit. I don't know, bro. I don't really give a fuck. But it's, you know, it is what it is. You know what? It is. We shouldn't even talk about this anymore.
A$AP Rocky, Drake, and J. Cole all took issue with it. Cole initially brushed it off with "I don't really care," but his actions told a different story. Drake responded with 5 a.m. in Toronto. Then he and J. Cole dropped the Jodeci freestyle, where both of them took subtle jabs at Kendrick. I can't help but think of how this was the original first-person shooter and the reason Kendrick made Control. Cause not many of us realized Control was a response to his peers trying to shit on him for being named the hottest MC of that year. J. Cole was always incredibly competitive. He has always wanted to be the best rapper and make the best albums. This competitive spirit is what led him to dropping an album on the same day as Kanye West.
I'm a competitor, so I didn't feel good if they passed back the test and somebody got a 95 and I got a 85, I'm gonna feel away. It's like that with rap too. It's the same thing. I'm a natural competitor, so.
That same spirit now applied to Kendrick too, and from then on he would start taking shots to prove he was the best.
Because I think I was so competitive. I don't know how they would feel. You have to talk to them, but I know for myself, I was so competitive early on that like, even though we were all friends, I would say we were all friends and friendly. Why would I work out with this nigga? Like, I'm trying to destroy this nigga, you know what I mean? Like, and that was kind of my mentality.
But competing with Kendrick wasn't going to be easy. Kendrick had only released one album, but it was already being treated as a classic. Like I said earlier, he had dreamed of winning Best New Artist of the Grammys, but that dream didn't come true.
Because I was telling my management and telling the label, like, yo, I have to beat the Grammy deadline. Like, I gotta do it. My album came out like 2 days before the Grammy deadline, and that's because I knew, like, yo, I got a shot.
And you're up tonight for?
Best New Artist sounds incredible, unbelievable, but Best New Artist. That was a good feeling. I ain't win though, so I need that feeling again. Then I need the victory.
His second album, Born Sinner, performed well and had bigger radio hits like Power Trip and Crooked Smile. Before he put it out, he spoke in an interview about wanting to take the award for Album of the Year at the Grammys, not just Rap Album of the Year. I'm going for Album of the Year. I'm trying to compete with the white people. Unfortunately, he was only nominated for Best Rap Performance, and he lost. When looking back,
and that's the thing about creative work. That's the thing about creative work. It's not always going to go your way. So the people that still maintain that longevity, and the ones that still thrive are the ones that, most of the time, they are the ones that don't put any specific goal in mind and just focus on the message and the core value they're about to give to the public. So I think the thing about J. Cole was that he was having those commercial goals in mind, those things that felt like the yardstick for the people, the public, to actually rate you. That's what he was looking at. And Kendrick, on the other hand, I think his core objective was to send a message, to actually just stay true to his craft and just come up with a message and create a masterpiece of music. That's what Kendrick was after. And Cole seemed, on the other hand, to be chasing, that commercial success. And that's the thing about life, though. When you put goals, when you put these things, that the external validation, things that people see, and use that to rate your music and rate your craft and rate you, that external validation, when you give it to the people, you end up having a mental fallback when the things don't go your way. Like now, the whole targeting the Grammys, trying to meet up with the Grammys and win, all those things. Yes, it's good to be competitive, but all those things are the things that kind of like, they'll derail you if you don't get it, and you don't really have any control to get it. All you can do is to put out music as good as you can, or music that has that commercial sound, but it doesn't always work like that. And I see why things didn't really work out for J. Cole as much earlier on. I don't know if he's still on that same mindset now. I think right now J. Cole has left the whole commercial success type ladder and is now focused more on his music and how it just sounds. So, but let's continue.
Back at his second album, he had to sit and be honest with himself. He had once again made compromises to keep the momentum going. But after seeing what Kendrick's integrity had earned him, and after the lessons learned from his past two projects, Cole finally broke the cycle. With Forest Hills Drive, he delivered an album with no features, no singles, and no compromises. He finally did it in his own way, and it worked.
I got rid of all old pressures that people think is the right way. What's the single? Who's on the album? That's old. I had to literally come to grips with this album might not sell. It was a scary thing for me. It didn't sell. I came to terms with that already.
Exactly what I said, man. And Forest Hill Drive was the album that made me love J. Cole. Before then, I didn't really know J. Cole as much. I knew him from the old Can't Get Enough with Beyonce and some of his songs, but I wasn't really into J. Cole. But Forest Hill Drive made me a fan, actually. It made me a fan of J. Cole. And that's the thing, when you don't chase, you forget about the external validations and what these people put as a metric for your success, and focus on the message and your craft. That's what happens when you just focus on the message and your craft, and just want to put in your best work for you and for your own satisfaction, and not what every other person thinks. It's not like you don't put the priority of the fans at heart, but give the people what you feel like is the message you are called to give them, not what you think they expect from you. So that's how I say it. So let's go.
His soul. You serious?
And I remember because somebody at Rock Nation was like, "What do y'all think, y'all Beyonce or something? Like, that ain't never gonna work, you know?"
The album was celebrated by fans and critics alike. It felt like redemption. But just 3 months later, Kendrick returned with To Pimp a Butterfly. J.Cole had finally delivered his magnum opus, but Kendrick delivered something even bigger. The album wasn't just great, it was considered an all-time classic from the start.
Rolling Stone magazine called our next guest the greatest rapper of his generation.
You got most Grammy nominations for a rapper in a year. You almost had the same amount of nominations as Michael Jackson for Thriller.
The legend.
Wow.
With 11 Grammy nominations, Kendrick swept every rap category. J.Cole received just 2 nominations and lost both to Kendrick. It was devastating. After this, he began...
This could hurt. You know that thing where you're like the second best? It's not really a good feeling, where you're like, if there was no Kendrick, I would be the best. That's the feeling, and it can hurt, bro. But you know, as creatives, as people in this kind of business, sometimes you just have to brush it up and just keep on making your thing, man. Keep on just doing you. So let's go.
Saying the Grammys didn't matter. He realized maybe he wasn't meant to win, but this realization doesn't come without pain. To desire something your whole life and not be able to get it really hurts.
Had I won it early on, I think it would have validated all of those feelings I had for it, of like, oh man, and maybe it would have felt like a championship at that point, I'm not sure. Yeah. The fact that it didn't happen, and then it didn't happen, and then it didn't happen. First there was the same feeling of like, wait, why they not rocking with me, boom, boom, boom. And then after time, and like, it becomes clear that it's like, oh, wait a minute, like those things weren't for you.
From tweets and interviews, he would say he is happy he didn't win any Grammys, but his continued references to it suggest otherwise.
So Cole spoke with GQ extensively.
And look at this. Saint Dog get a Grammy, incredible. Future 2 being deserved. March Madness was bigger than the Grammys. And congrats, LMA. Slack really deserved to, but don't sweat it, my brother. No award show could ever get it all way right, especially one that ain't run by US. So, of course, he was hurt. It touched him a bit. It touched him well. For him to reference it, it touched him a bit. This was 2019. So, of course, it touched him.
About not winning a Grammy. He said, I'm not supposed to have a Grammy, at least not right now, and maybe never. And if that happens, that's just how it was supposed to be.
By the time J. Cole truly embraced his own authenticity, Kendrick was miles ahead. When he later released For Your Eyes Only, people criticized it for taking from To Pimp a Butterfly's blueprint. Meanwhile, Kendrick elevates it again with Damn, adding another possible classic to his name, one that also became his most commercially successful. Now Kendrick both had critical acclaim and chart dominance. Cole couldn't compete on either front. While he was playing catch up to Kendrick, Kendrick was focused on beating Drake. But then Kendrick Lamar went quiet. And in 2019, J. Cole picked up his pen again. He began killing features, sharpening his skills, and reminding everyone what he could do. For years, he delivered high-quality verses. He was back, hungrier than ever. And just when it seemed like he was catching up, Kendrick teased his return, saying he was coming to smoke on everybody's top 5, which raised all our expectations. J. Cole was rapping at his best, and Kendrick was coming back. But when Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers dropped, it wasn't the explosive return people anticipated. It was personal, introspective, and polarizing. For the first time, there were a lot of people that called the Kendrick album a disappointment. He looked vulnerable while J. Cole was finally hitting his stride. People began to reshuffle their big 3 rankings. I saw a lot of people putting J. Cole above Kendrick and Drake.
Kendrick talking shit to everybody in the world but a nigga named Jermaine. My rapper order it has to change.
J. Cole is number 1 in that rapper order.
It has to. It has to.
He also started throwing subliminals again, just like he did at the start of his career. His drive to be the best was fueled by feeling like he was being overlooked his whole career. Yes, he built his own path, but he still wanted the respect from the game as the best. He kept mentioning people putting him number 3 behind Drake and Kendrick because it really bothered him. The 2 Grammys he's won were features for other people's songs. His only number 1 on Billboard was a feature with Drake. He wants to achieve those things himself with his own singles and his own albums.
I'm cool. I almost feel better not having my first #1 be off of Drake alley-oop. You know what I mean? Like, I love Drake, and I love that I'm a part of that moment with him with Michael Jackson, but it's like, bro, it's like getting a Grammy with 21. It's like, bro, I love that for you. Shit, I almost don't, nah, I want y'all to keep me right where y'all had me. You know what I mean? Grammy-less, nigga. Don't throw me no sympathy Grammys, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want none of that.
For a while, it looked like he was taking the spot from Kendrick until he hopped on First Person Shooter with Drake.
Come on, man. Don't tell me that this way it ends.
Every level of rapping ability.
So, man, that's where it ends, man. And to be honest, that's a disappointing ending. A very disappointing ending, but yeah, this is just what I think about it. I think so far so good. J. Cole is still on that path. I feel like what he struggled with and made him to push for trying to get the Grammy and being in that unannounced competition with Kendrick that later became announced competition and him putting out of the whole fight. I feel like he's still on that path. He was the one who put himself in that place anyways, where he was talking and calling Kendrick out before the beef. And now after the beef, J. Cole is, I think the whole diss track that I put out on Kendrick, obviously it was forced. Clearly it was forced. It wasn't like he really wanted to diss Kendrick, but he just forced it. And since he wasn't being himself, he had to drop out of the fight. But he was the one who put himself in the fight in the first place. But anyway, back to who J. Cole is right now. I feel like J. Cole is still on that path. Is a dope dope MC, and he should just continue focusing on himself. And we're still waiting for J. Cole to put out something that will shake the world. And eventually, as far as he still keeps sharpening his pen and still keep being dedicated to his music, he will still do that. He can still do that. Yeah. So with that being said, guys, tell me what you think about the whole J. Cole chasing Kendrick success thing, and why you think J. Cole might eventually be the A-list guy that he thinks he is, or why you think that he might never have that chance again. Let me know in the comment section. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.